Good afternoon, everyone. This is Wessel Prem with a weekly update on what is happening in the crypto market right now. Wessel, take the floor. You would like to talk and introduce basically what's going on with the value of Bitcoin.
There's no important news at the moment, actually, so it's pure technical. The market has its own dynamic, I think. So there's no, the market will do whatever it will do. Yeah, of course, we see also in the normal shares the markets are a bit depressed, huh?
Yes,
and that was also,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. So, we were discussing earlier this week, basically, we saw that the Fed has raised its interest rates, which is usually for stock markets a bad sign. And we saw the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ falling hundreds of points. We've seen that. And then at the same time, we could also see that, some movement in crypto downwards. But at the same time, something interesting also happened. I was looking at the gold chart, and the gold price has risen around $40 to $50. Somewhere there is some correlation, but there is not a direct correlation. That is something we can definitely not see. I'm also following, like yourself, many people in the market, and they're talking about this either ascending or descending triangle. The people who are saying that the market might either go up or go down, but there is a lot of pressure right now as volumes has been decreasing.
Yeah, I agree, and I think gold is actually taking the position as a hedge. Yeah? So these gold and perhaps silver are more of a hedge position than crypto at the moment, than Bitcoin. So it sounds for the wider public a bit weird, but crypto and Bitcoin can be a hedge, shares and commodities, I think.
Yes.
At the moment, it's turned around. So I think people flee into gold. So at the moment.
Yeah. So right now, again, we are the $200 billion mark for the whole crypto market cap, and it's really going to be decisive, either up or down. I mean, some people are saying 60% up, other people are saying 60% down. Chances to go, and I'm like in between, like, okay, we don't know actually which way we're going. It all depends.
The market will go its own way, so there's no certainty at all. And me personally, I'm quite moderate. I think there are some certain events can have effect on the Bitcoin chart, like the decision of this ETF, this Bitcoin ETF, the exchange traded funds. The decision of the SEC can be actually delayed until February next year. So, but I still think it can be an important decision for the market in general. Then we have in November, the mother company of the New York Stock Exchange is going to introduce on BAKT, B-A-K-K-E. I think that can also be a push factor for the chart, but yeah, we will see. But there are certain events. Of course, we have the Bitcoin Cash fork also in November. That can lead also to some new developments in the chart of Bitcoin Cash, for instance. So
I agree with you on the fact that that the ETF has got a lot of people are looking at it. I mean, in July and August, usually a vacation time, a low volatility in the market, and ETF news came, and immediately Bitcoin and other altcoins were just jumping left and right. It was just amazing.
It was blocked.
Now, absolutely, because every time it was denied. Now, looking in hindsight, so if we look now here in October and November, so again, a couple of projects will be given to the SEC to decide, and they'll give their feedback. So definitely that we can expect some volatility in the market, but up to now, as I was explaining basically in my daily updates, the volatility is just gone gone sideways. I mean, it's gone just below. I mean, I've been reporting 10 billion, while usually we're having 14 to 15 billion in crypto activity, basically.
Especially the Van Eck ETF, I think it's very important. Van Eck is a very well-known ETF provider on the market. If the SEC approves the Van Eck ETF, then that is a clear sign that crypto as an asset, as a digital asset, as an asset to invest in, is actually accepted by in this case U.S. authorities, and yeah, so.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's see and watch what's going to happen. And I'd like to jump now to Coinbase. I mean, last week I reported that Coinbase has got a new investor, and the company has been valued at 8 billion US dollars, which is amazing because within a year, basically, it quadrupled in value. So that is really, really great. But at the same time, they've been also coming out with news that they're going to add more assets, basically. Could you fill us in which asset might be part of this new addition?
They issued like 5 names, and the first one to get listed is ZeroX. ZeroX is a quite interesting protocol. Actually, on paper, it's a contender of the current powers that be, like Coinbase and Binance. I mean, the central exchanges. I mean, ZeroX in itself is a decentralized protocol. I think it's a strategy of theirs to actually choose ZeroX. I mean, it's quite remarkable that they, of course, want to list one of their potential contenders, decentralized contenders, and it's only accessible for professional traders on Coinbase Pro. But we've seen in the charts like a Coinbase effect. The chart of ZeroX has jumped 20%. Yeah. So we can expect the same for Cardano, a bad attention token. The ERC20 tokens are accepted by Coinbase, and that actually is open for lots of projects, actually. I mean, lots of utility tokens.
Absolutely, Wessel. I mean, the whole thing was that I was surprised that ZeroX was part of it, as ZeroX is not a top 10 coin. I mean, of course, it is there in the top 100, but it's not a top 10 coin. So I expected actually more like a Ripple, which is a top 3 coin, to be part of Coinbase. But somehow Ripple was not mentioned on this Coinbase announcement for their digital.
Yeah, like EOS either. I mean, EOS either. That's also remarkable. I mean, it's top 5 coin. Yeah.
Yeah, so I agree that, you know, the ZeroX is definitely a surprise, but they're also coming out as, you know, this is definitely going to be there. So obviously the price jumped, and it did jump, but at the same time, you know, market is just going sideways or down, and let's see how this is going to roll out. I think Coinbase is very, very much aggressive. I've also mentioned last week that they've got a new person from Wall Street on board again about their operational management. This is all to show that they are here to stay, and you know, that they can trust these people to come on board with Coinbase for their institutional clients, for their custodianship, and of course their you know, retail clients, as of them are.
I mean, they're the greatest, or the biggest, I must say, biggest exchange around with 20 million customers. They're the most valuable exchange around. And you see these market leaders are very strategically choose their positions. We've seen Binance open up a charity fund. I mean, their listing fees will be put in a charity fund. Actually, it is a blockchain charity fund, and but it's under the umbrella of Binance. It's not an external charity. it's still under the umbrella of Binance. So we have to see. I mean, this is like millions and millions of fees. I mean,
True. True.
so
I mean, I was reading some rumors last year that Binance would take 5 to 10 million US dollars to get listed, basically. So if you are a project who raised 20 million, half would go into that. I understand now because of the bearish market, the fees have gone low, but still, we were talking still millions of US dollars.
yeah, it's not the trading fees, but it is the listing fees. So it's like
Absolutely.
you had to pay like 20 Bitcoin to get listed. So I mean, it was quite a lot of money. So
The other topic, I mean, everybody is talking about Vitalik on Twitter. I've just gone berserk, basically going through all the things. It's Nouriel Roubini, university professor from NYU, versus Vitalik Buterin, basically smashing each other up on Bitcoin. The whole thing is this, that NYU, the New York University, where Professor Nouriel Roubini is teaching, is giving a blockchain course, and the whole thing is that it's oversubscribed, and I don't know why he's so negative, basically, on cryptos and blockchain in general.
he's very critical. He's very critical, and I mean, it's good to be critical. I mean, he's framing crypto, of course, as a criminal activity, or he's framing crypto as a fraud, or he's framing crypto as a hack, or unsafe, etc., etc. We still are a very young industry, so like only 0.003% is using a crypto wallet. So we have, but still, it's 30 million crypto wallets, 30 million. But with almost 8 billion people, like 2 billion people don't have a bank account, so they can swap directly to a crypto wallet. A bank account is too expensive, or it's not available in their country. But I mean, that whole perspective of what cryptocurrency or digital money can do for the third world or emerging markets, it's left out of the discussion, I think. Yeah? I mean, it's an ego battle, or what do you think?
I mean, definitely. I mean, Nouriel Roubini was one of the people who said that basically 2008 would happen, the credit default swap, where a lot of banks fell down. He was one of the people who had predicted it, and now he's come out again, very strong words, using that Vitalik Buterin is a dictator, or it's really strong words which he's using. And decentralized is that everything is centralized and nothing is decentralized. Is also like we're still in the baby phases, as you said. We're taking steps towards decentralization. This is not really. I don't think professional. Looking at his stature. I mean, he's a professor, but he also got his own company where he advises the World Bank. He advises IMF, and he advises so many government institutions, basically, even the Fed, about it. And it's going to be a surprise how it's going to be. This is one of the people to definitely look at.
Dictatorship that is about governance in the end. I mean, of course, Bitcoin doesn't have a dictator. It doesn't have a CEO. It got like 10,000s of him making the network. Vitalik can be seen as the CEO of Ethereum. So his position is a bit different, of course. All eyes are on Ethereum. It's the most used system out there. It's actually the Netscape of this industry. Existing companies are using private blockchains for years. I mean, this is not a new thing. But we have to make a distinction between private blockchains and public blockchains, and Ethereum is a public blockchain. So that is a different governance model. I mean, for instance, IBM is introducing private blockchains in the food supply. Food, that's a good thing. But then I was in a discussion last night, then you also have to look at the governance of such a blockchain. And that's actually what IBM is acknowledging. IBM is acknowledging that they don't want to be the dictator in their blockchain. They actually want to work also with other parties that are making up this blockchain. And even with public blockchains, you also really need to have a close look at the governance model, like we've seen with EOS. They actually have problems with their governance model. And there was some voting cartels in their blockchain. So that's really a big problem. But then again, they acknowledge the problem, and they are working on a solution for it. So we all have these containers like blockchain, distributed ledger technology. We have DEX. We have all kinds of distributed ledger technology, and blockchain is one of them. It's not the only solution. I mean,
I agree with you, definitely, and I'm very happy that you brought it up. That there are definitely blockchain is not here to solve any problem we have. It is for certain problems definitely very useful, but at the same time, you should be having an open mind. If you're starting up a new company or you're starting a new idea, it doesn't have to be blockchain. It can be, but what would be the beneficiaries of using a blockchain?
In certain sectors, of course, I know. I mean, for instance, if you look at the private chains like IBM is using, it's using to actually monitor the production of cobalt. I mean, cobalt is in batteries, for instance. Batteries we use in our phones, in our computers, and via their blockchain, we can actually make clear how the whole supply chain of cobalt is working. We can make sure that there's no child labor involved with the production of cobalt, and everyone agrees on it. I mean, what is a private blockchain? I mean, IBM and the governments or other institutions are in charge. But in a public blockchain, the people are in charge. In the Bitcoin network, the people are in charge. We all know Napster, we all know BitTorrent, the people are in charge. And that's a whole different governance model, and that's a very interesting governance model for the future, I think, if there's no third party involved. And in some cases, it is interesting to have a trusted system. To have a system where there's no bank or government involved, because the nodes, they trust each other. They don't need a bank to trust each other. They don't need a government to trust each other. So that's we all know Napster. I share a file. You can download the file, and all these files together make up one song you can download. The same with I send you Ethereum. You can receive the Ethereum, and that's it. And within seconds.
Okay. Totally understood. Wessel, I want to really thank you for coming.
Off topic, but
No, I mean, it's giving just a real world example how BitTorrent and Napster work. So, and again, I want to really thank you for coming online and sharing your views on, the different topics which we are facing here on a day-to-day basis. I totally understand that. We're still in the infant stage, basically, of our projects. I wish you and everyone a wonderful week ahead, and I hope to see you on the next one where we can discuss what has happened last week. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.